In low orbit over a blue-green world, a lone research craft drifts between cloud anvils and quiet thunder, instruments humming, heartbeat steady, curiosity louder than fear. A silver tear of a ship drops from the stars like liquid mercury, and a voice, beautiful, musical, asks the human to please not shoot while physics rearranges itself. What happens to a scientist when her tools start writing poetry? If beauty is a force, what does it want from us? And why does reality feel stronger when two strangers stand side by side? Why are you avoiding me, human? Because you're so beautiful. The alien woman smiled. Before we begin, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, and ring the bell, so the next time the universe knocks, you hear it. Alright, let's begin the story, and then, they tell you that space is quiet. They don't tell you that the quiet has a texture. On the 8th week of her solitude, Dr. Mara Kincaid could tell calm from storm by the way the silence pressed against her teeth. Tonight, the silence had a faint metallic tang, like a coin on the tongue. The ship's AI, Peregrine, caught it too. Proximity event, it said, voice calm, gentle as rainfall. Object descending. Energy profile, unclassified. Mara lifted her eyes to the forward ports. A filament of silver stitched through Kepler 442 b's upper atmosphere in a perfect, unhurried line. Not a burn. Not a fall. A choice. The sensors frothed with numbers that had no homes in her models. The silver thread swelled into a needle, and the needle bloomed into a teardrop with no seams, no rivets, only reflections. And then a voice arrived in her cabin, bright as a bell. Hello, traveler. Kindly refrain from defensive measures. I am, at the moment, negotiating with your gravity. Mara didn't reach for the sidearm lodged beneath the console. She reached for the microphone. Unidentified vessel. This is Dr. Mara Kincaid aboard the research ship Halcyon. Do you require assistance? Assistance is a beautiful word, the voice said, almost laughing. Let us agree not to harm one another while I make a polite entrance. Mara saw her own face in the glass, a tight jaw, the long fatigue of weeks gone without another human voice. And then she saw something else reflected, a shape descending through clouds that parted too gracefully to be mere air. Copy, she said. You have safe passage. The silver ship shaped the wind as if wind were putty. It set itself down in a forest clearing that looked like a secret gifted from the planet to those who asked correctly. Peregrine pinged the air, pinged the soil, pinged Mara's blood. Atmosphere breathable, it reported. Trace volatiles not in our tables, non-toxic at expected exposure. You may find the world smells faintly sweet. Mara smiled despite herself. Sweet, she echoed, sealing the collar of her suit, stepping into the lock. Noted. The clearing smelled like rain over crushed vanilla. Leaves made of green mathematics sighed. The silver ship sat like a patient thought, and from it, a figure emerged, humanoid, long-limbed, moving as if gravity were a conversation rather than a rule. Her hair was black with starlight caught in it. Her ears tapered with a sculptor's arrogance. She smiled, and the air dared to brighten. Human, she said warmly. I am Oral. Thank you for the courtesy. You speak my language, Mara said, too quickly, and hated the tremor in her voice. Language is a choreography, Oral replied, tilting her head. Once you feel the rhythm, the feet follow. You do not mind if we converse in your music? Mara's training rose like a wall. Protocols, distance, documentation. And yet the wall had a door in it she'd never seen before. Curiosity reached through, found the latch. I don't mind. Up close. Oral had a presence that was not perfume and not heat, but something that tugged lightly at Mara's senses. The trees around them leaned, or seemed to, like listeners at a good story. Peregrine burbled in her ear. Caution advised Mara. Sensors are confused. Gravity is polite in her vicinity. Polite. Mara whispered. Yes. Willing to compromise. Oral smiled again, and the smile was a sunrise reflected on a lake. May we speak under my roof? The rain has opinions about our conversation. The silver hull opened where there had been no seam. Inside, space breathed wrong and right at once. Larger than the outside by a margin that made Mara's inner ear write a strongly worded letter. Walls flowed with patient gleam, reshaping into curve and alcove as if responding to Oral's thoughts. A console grew from the floor like a crystal praying, and then deciding to stand. Peregrine's telemetry went sideways. On Mara's wrist slate, the numbers changed fonts mid-equation, then took to drafting couplets about resonance. "Okay," Mara muttered. "That's new." "Your instruments," Oral said experimentally, touching the crystal with fingertips like song, "are honest tools." Honesty is difficult when one has never been asked to sing. "Sing. Consciousness," Oral said lightly, as if naming water, "is not separate from the things you measure. It is one of them." Mara should have argued. Instead, she watched the crystal glow soften to her breathing. She lifted her hand. The light rose, a fraction of a second late, as if waiting to see if she meant it. She lowered her hand. The glow declined, politely. "You're saying thought changes the tool." "Of course it does," Oral said, as if acknowledging the sky. "And the tool changes the thought. And the river changes its banks." "And the banks?" asked the river for news. "I came here for soil samples," Mara whispered, a laugh catching on her throat. "Now my spectrometer is writing poetry about weather." "Is it good poetry?" "Too many adverbs," Mara said automatically, and Oral laughed. A bell turned to liquid silver. The ship hummed in agreement. The hum ran through Mara's ribs and settled somewhere behind her eyes, where her headaches began and ended. She stayed 2 hours. Then 4. They spoke of distances and how Oral's people did not cross them so much as retune their attention, the way you shift an ear from melody to harmony. They spoke of names, how Oral wasn't quite the right one, but close enough to begin with. They spoke of fear, and how humans invented rituals for greeting it with coffee. When Mara finally stepped back into the forest twilight, the air felt busier, the silence more crowded. The trees clicked their leaves like tongues. Her wrist slate buzzed. "Peregrine," with unusual softness. "You're smiling." "Am I?" "It looks good on you." The next morning, Mara chose distance. Not because of orders. There were none, not this far out. But because she recognized in herself a reflex she'd learned from survival. When something is too beautiful, step back and see if you still want it from farther away. She told Peregrine to ping the horizon for trace elements. She told Oral, on an open frequency, that she would conduct routine transects in the Western Valley. She told herself that work was a tether, and she was not here to fall. She walked beneath canopies that made lace out of sunlight. Her boots sank in soil that remembered oceans. The air stayed sweet, and then sweeter. Her instruments, which had been merely enthusiastic, grew conversational. The atmospheric analyzer began to hum, softly, a waltz in 3. The magnetometer flashed a line that read, "Your heartbeat has found a friend." The Geiger counter drew a smile, an actual curve of pixels, after steady green values. "Peregrine," Mara said, "am I seeing this?" "You are," said the AI, and if code could clear its throat, Peregrine did. "Also, the trees are in excellent moods." I would not have believed I could say that sentence. By noon, distance felt wrong. The colors thinned. Shadows behaved as if their owners had stepped out to smoke. The wind tripped over nothing. The world had been a cathedral at dawn. Now it was a stage before the actors arrive. The analyzer stopped humming the waltz and, timidly, played a single scared note. "Peregrine." "Local spacetime showing instabilities," the AI said. "Careful, careful. It is as if the orchestra has lost its conductor." I do not mean Oral as a conductor. I mean, your presence, in proximity with. No, that's not precise. I mean, the ground under Mara's boot dipped and then remembered itself. She grabbed a branch that remembered it could be there for her, and then didn't. Sweat cooled too fast on her neck. The air shivered. It felt, absurdly, like guilt. She realized she had started running only when the world decided to run with her, lagging a half-second behind her choices and hurrying to catch up. She didn't call Oral. Pride, human and old, put a hand on her mouth. She called Peregrine instead. "Guide me back to the clearing." "Coordinates locked," Peregrine said. "Be advised, your footsteps are leaving echoes. Also, please consider not dying." "Consider." "Ed," Mara panted, stumbling through undergrowth that seemed to be remembering what undergrowth was called. Something bright broke across the path like a rip in silk, and the forest smell turned from vanilla to ozone. She tasted storm. She heard conversation? No. Overlapping murmurings, like the universe debating which version of events to publish. And then, Mara, the voice was everywhere. It did not startle her. It calmed her the way a church bell tells a town that the hour exists. Oral stood in the path that had not been a path a moment before. She hadn't stepped into it. The world had brought the path to her. With Oral there, the air rallied. The colors found their courage. The shadows returned to their owners, one by one, like dogs called home. The pull in Mara's chest didn't vanish. It resolved. Oral didn't touch her. She did something kinder. She looked at Mara with the sort of attention most people save for art. "Why are you avoiding me, human?" she asked softly. Mara opened her mouth to give the sensible answer, "The